I have something to confess. Now, not to brag. Definitely not to brag, in fact. After so many years of arguing with people on the internet, and I guess I still do to some degree, sadly, though luckily to a lesser degree, I'm sort of beating my addiction. But addictions die gradually, you can't just quit overnight. Arguing with people about politics and, whatever, I've come to the conclusion as the one thing, the one takeaway, the one bit of information, the one message, the one moral of the story, if you will, I've come across, gathered as a result of all my trials and errors. And that is that it's not just that politics and political beliefs are based upon emotion. I mean, we already know that. I wouldn't be saying anything new by stating the obvious. What I mean to say is that the positions people come to are exclusively on the basis of perception. That is to say, whether an act or, a certain policy or set of behaviors or hierarchy, if you will, is presentable, is presentational. If it looks good or bad, whether or not it is good or bad, respectively. That kind of thing, that kind of perception. And the more I think about it, the more this is true of really every policy people hold. Now you could say, but how could that be possible when people have differing beliefs? The beliefs are all different. And the answer to that is every single person or every single ideological group, if you will, believes what they believe because they individually perceive a certain system or ideology or person or this or that belief to be good based upon its presentation, like based upon how it appears, if you get what I'm saying. So yes, you might get people who think war is good or those who think war is bad, but whatever meaning, whatever justification they have for supporting or being against this thing, advocating or being an abolitionist for it, one side of the spectrum versus the other, it's on the basis of how it makes them feel. Like, I don't just mean emotion, but how the image in their head presents itself. And, there's actually a great example I can think of, and I think it's something you see pretty much every day now. It's the dichotomy you can make between seal clubbers and used car salesmen. Now, hear me out. Let me explain where I'm getting with this. The phenomenon of going out to get paid to club seals to death is certainly an interesting phenomenon, job, but it's a job that needs to be done. It's a job that looks really icky. I mean, most people, even if they could get paid to do it, would probably not do it, especially as there are other job opportunities out there, unsurprisingly. But the thing is that those who do go out and they club them seals, the very people who criticize this position, this profession, and think that it's gross, it's wrong, it's immoral, even somehow, they eat meat. They eat seal meat even sometimes. They eat whale meat. They eat meat. Whether it's seafood or it's like red meat, or it's like chicken or it's, they eat meat just as I do. Okay, that's fine. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But they go out and they do that. As well as, wearing leather, wearing animal products, fur products. It could be jackets, coats, pants, shirts. Look, it's anything really. Anything that is made from an animal. And the seal clubber performs this role. They need to club seals to get the meat from the seals, or to get the body of the seal for the sake of clothing, right? To make, leather out of it, outfits and stuff. The point is that people aren't so much against using these things, rather they are against the profession. Now you can make the argument, okay, well, you can still be against the job while still benefiting from it. You can still be, like the seals are already dead, so you might as well put it to use. Please tell vegans this, at least have some consistency for such people. But, here's the thing. They are actively against the job. If they don't believe that the benefits, the profits of the job are worth it, then why not complain that, this industry, why not say this industry should go out of business? Why even use the products, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? No one really is shocked or disgusted, especially those who do consume meat, right, at these very products or of the meat themselves. But somehow when people picture doing the job, it's just gross. It's just horrible. It's not something they can do. I guess killing animals in general, they feel like they can't do it, People who love meat, people who are, big fans of the meat and all kinds of meat, they just don't want to go out there and, kill bears or baby seals or sea lions, or narwhals, or anything like that. They don't want to go out and kill a bunch of rabbits, despite the fact they'll have no qualms with eating rabbit meat. And that's the thing, it's really on the basis of perception, not necessarily emotion, like it makes them emotionally unstable, but rather because something doesn't look attractive in their eyes, they're just against it. They just think it should be abandoned. It's not a job that needs to be done, apparently. But I was thinking about the archetype of the used car salesman, really the actual profession. Some person who has a bunch of used cars at a dealership, and maybe they don't own the dealership, but they are a marketer for their employee, right? Employer, I mean. And being, hired by this person, they have to impress the guests. Anyone who is shopping for a new car, who's looking around and trying to buy a new used car, they have to sell it to them. They have to be very direct. They have to, as a used car salesman, you have to be that mysterious businessman who's able to sell anything. Bright smile, good suit and tie, a very presentable, professional businessman who, no matter what car someone shows interest in, no matter what they pick out, no matter what they ask about, you always constantly, consistently have to give them that seal of approval. Say, this is the best car ever. Because maybe they won't buy that car if you aren't totally, completely enthusiastic about it and saying it's the best car of all time, the greatest vehicle to ever exist. Even if it's really just a piece of junk and it's overpriced and it barely runs and barely functions and it's already got way, way more miles on it, than what someone in that position should buy. But regardless, you have to sell it to them. Maybe that person would not buy that car if you weren't so hyping it up, and they would leave the dealership empty-handed and giving no money over and, that kind of thing. The used car salesman is, it's a normal position, a normal kind of person, and someone you see in everyday life, but you never see it criticized. You never see it looked down upon, despite the fact that their whole career is sort of upselling people on things they do not need, probably don't even want, but they dishonestly convince the customer to get all enthusiastic, just like they supposedly are, about this used car. Even if it's broken, even if it won't, like you can see a mother of four, walk into a used car dealership, and the salesperson there will upsell her, will absolutely try and make her buy the most expensive used car. An SUV that has like 300,000 miles on it and is in very poor condition. And they're not going to tell her about the fact that it needs an oil replacement or like the tires easily give out or maybe just like the model, like the specific SUV model is just poor, terrible fuel efficiency. She probably can't even afford it long term. She's already kind of broke. That's why she's going to a second-hand place anyway. But obviously, the point of the dealer or the person who's advertising the cars, let's say, the used car salesman, this person is making this car seem like the greatest thing ever. They're never going to turn them away. They're never going to tell them the details. They're never going to tell them, maybe it's possible you can't really afford this, and maybe we shouldn't go through this. It would feel kind of messed up for me to push this on you. No, or else they'd get fired, I guess it's a job that just needs to be done, but so the same with being a seal clubber. The difference is that being a seal clubber under socialism would look the same as it is under capitalism, but being a used car salesman under socialism would be completely different than under capitalism. And that's because there would be no boss. There would be no dealership owner, at least not one exclusively. The salesman is simply a representative, and thus they're not at the mercy of their employer to sell something to someone, and sell a bunch of people to a bunch of people and meet some deadlines, right? You have to sell 20 used cars within a week or something like that. That's not a real statistic, I'm just giving an example. But the point is they can work at their own pace, the speed they want to go at. Unlike, in our current system, under the authority of a capitalist who determines the rate at which the cars must be sold, and can fire this employee if they don't meet, certain criteria, right? But that's what I'm trying to say, is that I think people's perceptions of what they support, it can be applied to anything, as I said, is based upon presentability. And there are so many examples of this. I would say it's everything, every position anyone can hold, that's an example. Even people's reasons for believing in religion outside of Islam, because people who come to Islam do it on the basis of reason, at least when they convert, not when they're like born to parents who are also Muslims. But the point is, when they convert on their own, it's because there's science, there's evidence, there's testimonies, there's so much proof and miracles and mathematical realities and things that just are impossible to be explained by anything other than the will of Allah. But other religions, it's entirely on the basis of emotion, absolutely. But not just emotion, based upon presentation. Like, does this look good to me? Is this going to make for a good PowerPoint presentation? Not exactly that, not exactly a PowerPoint presentation. Or even a Google Doc presentation. It can be whatever. But the point is, it's their perception. It's the way something is styled. Like a terrible product that appears to be really good, but really is really not good. So, kind of like a very poorly maintained used car. But seal leather lasts a lifetime, let me tell you. So, my point is that a lot of the time when you're arguing with people, they have a bunch of unnaturally held beliefs, preset, it's predetermined, and they're not going to waver on that unless you present something more presentably. You would actually have a better chance of convincing someone, if you have any chance of convincing anyone ever at all, of leaving their current positions and pursuing different beliefs and whatever, believing in different things, on the basis that due to some other belief they have, the current belief they hold contradicts them, or it's like not compatible with social justice, or it's not compatible with, I don't know, reactionary monarchy or some nonsense, I don't know. Like, you'd have a better chance of doing that than actually appealing to the basis of reason. In other words, appealing to a different unnaturally held belief of theirs, or a different terrible belief of theirs, is the only way to convince them of dropping a different belief that they hold. Which is very interesting. If not a little tad absurd.